Since we talked last week, the SEC on Thursday announced they are going to an 8-game SEC schedule for this year, 2024, and then they'll reevaluate. What I think is happening is Sankey wants them to go to 9, and they're going to 9 eventually, but there was a group decision, hey, we're not going to be able to get any more money out of ESPN or our TV deals, so why play 9 this year? Let's play 8 and then reevaluate. And, boy, nothing captures the hearts and emotions of non-SEC fans quite like the SEC showing weakness. There was a celebration online about people saying how pathetic and cowardly the SEC is.
Which is why when we talked about it last week, I said whether it's fair or not, if they stay at 8 games, everybody else outside the SEC is going to be like, wow, you guys are soft. Wow, you're chickening out.
Yeah.
Even though that's not the case. And every single year, that game in November is going to be made fun of.
Well,
which it shouldn't be.
I do
this
think it
solidifies that.
With everybody else going 9 games, I do think it looks cowardly for the SEC not to go to 9 games. I agree with that. But people got to realize the SEC doesn't care what the Big 12 thinks. The SEC doesn't care what the ACC thinks. The SEC doesn't care what the Big 10 thinks. SEC is going to do what's right for the SEC and the money at all times.
And
so I wish they'd go to 9 games, but if they decide that money-wise it's not worth going 9, they're not going to do it.
And unless the committee comes out and says, well, I don't know, the SEC only plays 8 games instead of 9, that hurts their resume going into the playoff, why would you change it? And they're never going to say that. But if they did, then fine. But they don't give a fuck what some random guy in Kansas says about it on Twitter.
All right, let me create a clip for you here. You know who's absolutely...
Nobody does it like you, Brandon.
Do you know who's absolutely full of shit in this SEC 8-game schedule?
Kirby Smart.
No.
Oh, I thought that's who you were going to say.
No, I'm not going to say Kirby Smart because Kirby Smart and his team voted to go to 9 games.
Oh, I know. Oh.
Nick Saban. Oh. Every time he could get a microphone over the last decade, we need to go to 9 games. We need to go to 9 games. We need to maximize the SEC. 9 games, 9 games. And he wanted everybody to know that Alabama was ready to play 9 SEC games. Last week, Nick Saban, who I believe is still the head coach of Alabama, thus making him the most powerful person in college sports outside of Greg Sankey, they had a vote. They had a vote saying, hey, SEC teams, you can go 8 or 9. 5 teams voted yes, 9. That means 9 teams, Alabama included, said no, we're going to stay at 8. So Nick Saban, who went on every microphone he could over the last decade saying, let's go to 9, let's go to 9, when it came time to vote, he voted for 8. He is full of shit for this. I don't think he's full of shit across the board, but on this particular instance, he had a chance to lead and didn't. And meanwhile, Kirby Smart, who's the new Nick Saban, who's on top of college football, said, sure, I'll play 9 games. Count me in. What of it?
What of it?
No,
it doesn't. But see, the thing is, and maybe this is biased by me, I don't feel like it's cowardly. I feel like it's calculated. I feel like there's something.
It looks cowardly if you went and told me you want 9, and then I gave you a chance to take 9, and you said nah.
Nick.
But there's something he's
Nick
doing
Saban's
that we're not seeing.
No, Nick has a chance over these next 2 to 3 years where he can really go out in a bad way.
No chance.
Yes. No.
He said a lot of things, man.
Can we get this over with?
Yeah.
It's like I'm not saying we're there now, but he could be if let's say Alabama goes 9-3 this year, next year they go 10-2, whatever. But he's still talking like he's the old Nick Saban, which is fine. He deserves that. He's the greatest coach of all time. But if he keeps doing the whole media tour that he does after the season, I think it could really get to old man yelling at clouds levels. Now, that's not that high of a chance. I want that on the record, Alabama fans. I'm still very bullish on him, but, man, because also he keeps doing and I get it, he uses the media to talk to his NIL boosters, but he went and he said this thing about NIL, can we unionize it? Yeah. First of all, you do not want the players to unionize, Mr. Nick Saban. You do not want that.
He's also going out there and saying NIL is this, it's making it hard for recruiting, it's making it tough. Oh, my goodness.
Crimey River.
He just signed the most 5-stars in the history of the
So I was so confused
services.
by that, and I think it's what we've been told by these guys is Nick Saban talks to the media as if he's talking to his team, his coaches, or the boosters.
That's what he's doing.
And there must be an issue that's going on, and he's reminding them, hey, we are going to get past if you don't buckle up, buddy.
That's the video that I did last week, because as soon as he came out and he said, look at USC, Texas, and A&M. Those are the 3 examples that he used. It wasn't to me that he was saying, which is an easy thing, like, oh, Nick Saban doesn't think Alabama's paying players. He obviously knows they're paying players. I think what he does is he looks at those schools and others and says, look how much money they've actually spent hey, my boosters aren't spending this. Let me remind you why they have more money than us. That's what he's doing. He's not an idiot, and he knows very well that those boosters are like, shit, we don't want Nick mad at us.